listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello there, IELTS students. In this tutorial, I'm going to give you a very practical guide for self-study adult learners. I love making tutorials like this because I know I'm speaking with ambitious, independent go-getters. And this is one of the main reasons why I switched to teaching IELTS, because I noticed all of you have ridiculous ambitions. You know, you want to get places, change your situation, get to another country, get to the prestigious university. And I just love working with these kinds of people. I myself am extremely ambitious. This is why I'm jumping into the AI project, the speaking project, the AI essay correcting. And having worked with a bunch of teenagers who are forced to go to learn English by their parents, or a bunch of business students whereby the company has paid for the class and they're only there because it looks bad if they're not there. And then working with IELTS students where it's, tell me this, tell me more, I've got to get this. And I'm like, yes, I found my people. So this is one of the reasons what got me into IELTS. And then when I did get into it, I was like, oh my goodness, what does this exam want? Like, how do we do a task 2? How do I answer effectively? How do I become aware of what I'm saying? How can I, effectively pass this exam? And so I just started asking around, interviewing, serious language tutors, those guys with the 20 and girls and ladies, with like the 20, 30 years experience, the IELTS examiners, the pronunciation professionals. I asked them all, and then I tested it on my students, and if it worked, got into our online course. If it didn't work, I'd put it in the dumpster. I'd put it in the bin. And this is why and fast forward to today, this is why we've got one of the best-selling courses. We've got the #1 AI essay checker. In short, you are in good hands. You've found a very motivated, proficient, professional IELTS tutor, myself, Ben Worthington, who's also, as you've probably noticed, incredibly modest. And we're going to today talk through some productivity and, literally a plan for you. And it comes down to, it's not technically exam skills. These are the soft skills, though, that's going to make every IELTS session going forward. If you adopt these strategies, it's going to make it immensely more productive and more rewarding. And I think this is what you need when you're out there on your own. You've got all these resources and, you're just overwhelmed with information, and you've got to make the most of every hour because you've got your other studies, you've got your family, you've got your job, you've got your commute, you've got all this other stuff going on, but you've got IELTS there coming up in a month or two, and every hour you spend now studying needs to count. Let's jump into it. So, #1, break it down into small, manageable parts. There's no point saying, okay, I'm going to focus on IELTS this afternoon. No, you can't even say, I'm going to focus on IELTS writing. No, you need to say, I'm going to focus on body paragraph #1 and paraphrasing. Or even better, I'm going to focus on body paragraph #1, parallel structures, or I'm going to dominate conditionals. If you can just narrow it down to the smallest component, master that component, and then move on for your next session, then is going to be incredibly more productive than just sitting there and like, right, IELTS Sunday afternoon, what am I going to do? What am I going to start on? Now, number 2, make a one thing plan. This is incredibly simple, but it's incredibly powerful. And it comes from the book by Gary Keller. And it's basically about prioritizing. So what you do is you've got your goal of a band 7, or even better, go for a band 8, make that your target. And with the old expression of aim for the stars, and then at least you'll be able to reach the moon. So anyway, our goal, band 8. And now what you do is you write down, you say, okay, what's the one thing I need to work on in order to get that band 8 so that everything else is irrelevant? So this is going to get you focusing. Okay, I shouldn't really be focusing on doing a language exchange with a non-native English speaker because it's probably not going to get me to band 8. I should really be focusing on doing, a class with a speaking tutor, or at least a class with a native English speaker or whatever. Okay, so it just gets you to focus, and then you move backwards. So what's the one thing I need to do this month? Maybe make a plan, a study plan of what I'm going to study. What's the one thing I need to do this week in order to make that study plan? Or what's the one thing I need to master this week? Okay, IELTS writing. What's the one thing I need to master on Monday afternoon? Probably complex grammatical structures. What's the one thing I need to master on Monday afternoon at 2:00? I need to master parallel phrases or comparative conjunctions or whatever. And it just gives you that focus. And it makes all the other tasks irrelevant when we work backwards from that one thing. What's the one thing I need to do in order to get a band 8 over the next 3 months? And you work backwards until you get to, in our example, that Monday afternoon at 2:00 or 3:00, and you've got it down, and it's like conditional grammar structures or conditional forms. Now, another super book, I'm going to just give you a very top level. If you've got the time, definitely jump into these books that I'm reading. The next one is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is an insanely powerful, valuable book. And if you're working maybe as a subcontractor or a freelancer, it's definitely worth reading as well. If you are in control of your own time, again, you will probably already know that every minute counts. You cannot be doing busy work. You've got to make those minutes count. And this advice that I will share, I'm just going to share 10 pieces of advice to help you. So 1, as I just mentioned, start small and gradually increase. Actually, no, this is a different interpretation of starting small. So we start small and we gradually increase the intensity of the study sessions. So if we've got this huge mountain to climb, for example, band 7. Now, we could start off by saying, okay, I've got to get a band 7 by next year, and I'm going to start off with doing 8 hours a day studying. That's very good, but the likelihood of you maintaining those 8 hours a day of studying are very slim. However, if you start small and you say, okay, I'm just going to limit it to 30 minutes a day, that's far more achievable. And because it's far more achievable, you're likely to stick with it and you're going to build up your momentum. So you can say, okay, this week, I'm just going to give myself the goal of doing 10 minutes every day of reading task 2 essays. Very, very simple. You get that habit. You've replaced going on Reddit or TikTok with reading task 2 essays for 10 minutes a day. Beautiful. Next week, now we've got that habit established with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, whatever. We can say, right, it's established. I'm going to build it up to 20 minutes. And this gives you the luxury, not the luxury, it gives you the advantage of establishing a fixed routine. And as I'm going to say later today, or later in this tutorial, it's not the goal that's going to get you a band 7. It's the system behind the goal. It's the practice that you are consistently doing. The consistency usually wins over the over erratic bursts of all weekend I'm going to just smash IELTS and then for the rest of the week I'm going to do nothing. That's not bad, but if you've got a consistent routine, it's going to be far more powerful. Number 2, make your study environment conducive to learning. Are you reading IELTS essays while on your phone, or are you in a co-working environment in a library where there's no distractions, where your mum can't come in and offer you a cup of tea, where your kid can't run in and show you the new drawing, whatever? Is it just a case of making that environment and just making it more productive? Habit stacking. This is amazing. So if you already have the habit, like I mentioned before, of waking up and grabbing a cup of tea, what can we stack on or attach to this habit of making a cup of tea? Can we leave an IELTS essay already printed out under the tea bags, for example, under the jar that has, or the box of tea bags, So we've already got this habit of making a cup of tea. So we put our IELTS essay, for example, next to where we go to make our cup of tea. And now it's far more likely we're going to follow through and read that IELTS essay. Number 4, as I mentioned before, set clear and specific goals. Ideally, you could link it to that one thing method. You can just jump online, put Gary Keller one thing, and get a quick summary if it's still unclear. Number 5, track your progress. This will help you stay motivated. You've got this whole list of goals down, which is very granular, very specific, and you're ticking it off. Okay, I've mastered parallel structures. Next, comparative conjunctions, tick, mastered. I've got momentum. I can see my progress. It's going to help me stay motivated. Positive reinforcement. In my case, I can't believe I'm sharing this. It might be demolishing a whole 200-gram bar of chocolate for working productively for an entire afternoon, or in most cases, rewarding myself before I even start by getting that nice sugar boost. But it's just a case of rewarding yourself and being aware and just making that inner self-talk positive. We're not going to have this inner conversation of like, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, because it's quite easy. Yesterday, my car broke down and I was like, oh my goodness, what a loser. I'm stood here with the jumper cables. I feel like such a loser. It's cold, it's wet. Nobody's helping me. And I was like, stop right there. It's like that song, Reasons to be Cheerful. And then I witnessed myself talking negatively, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. I'm not gonna get out of this situation by just compounding my own misery. And so I just started thinking like positive. It sounds a bit cliche. It sounds cheesy. It sounds corny. I know. I used to think it was horrible. I used to think it was so pathetic, but it actually works. And I just turned around my emotional state by just thinking, actually, Ben, this could be far worse. Your battery could be dead on your mobile. You could have a severe health illness. And I just started listing reasons, and it just turned my mindset around. Moving on to the next one. Surround yourself with supportive peers. I used to have a mate in Valencia, a French guy, and he was so negative. I just ditched him. The turning point was when I was working in an academy, and he was waiting for me. He was just sat on the couch. So I came out, sat with him. Oh no, I just stood there and I was just talking. I said, I'll be out in a minute, Matthew. And then while I was there, the manager came and just talked to me for a minute. It was very casual, just a very standard conversation. And then when we got out of the academy, he was like, was that your boss? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, he seemed like an absolute idiot, and just started ripping into him. And I was like, how could you have such a negative opinion of somebody from literally a minute and 30 seconds of conversation? So after that, I was like, nah, I'm ditching you as a friend. Which is a shame, because when he was quite interesting, quite intelligent, but his energy, his negativity, I was like, pass. Next one. Again, this sounds cheesy, but it helps. Visualize your success. Visualize yourself in that exam room, just crushing it. You're writing that amazing essay. You're looking around. You've got time left over to check for mistakes. And then you got your speaking exam in a day or two afterwards, and you sat there. You're happy. Your back is straight. You're smiling. You walk in there confidently. And we all know that the physiology of your body will instruct your own sort of like emotions. If you're sat there slouched, you're going to feel depressed. But if you sit there with your shoulders back, your back straight, smiling, you are going to be not only going to start feeling more confident, and then that will show itself in your speech. Next one, I mentioned this already. Focus on the process rather than the outcome. This is what I was saying before about having a powerful system in place, a study plan. You're stacking the habits. You've got it all locked in. Focus on that process rather than the end goal. This is a tricky one. And from personal experience, I found balancing, because the outcome usually gets me incredibly motivated. In your case, it'd be like, yes, I'm going to get that band 7. Yes. And that keeps you motivated. But also you've got to focus on the process behind the band 7. Let me just give you another analogy if it's not clear, because the analogy in the book, I can still remember it to this day. Think about the Olympics. Every one of those athletes has the goal of reaching a gold. The ones who do reach the goal have the superior system, have the superior preparation and training. Those are the ones who reach gold, because all of them have the objective, the goal of getting a gold. Whereas the winners, the ones who do take home the gold medals, obviously had the superior system behind them and the superior training system in order to reach the gold. Finally, continuously refine and adjust your study strategies based on feedback and results. I've mentioned this at least once every 3 episodes. It's just about doing the practice tests, figuring out your weak spots, might be multiple choice on the reading, and then just drilling down on multiple choice for the reading section until you've mastered it, and then move on. In the case of your writing, it could be, okay, I've got to master the use of articles. This is from the feedback I got from the AI essay checker or from the tutor. It looks like the use of articles is an issue I need to master. Let's focus on those. Once I've mastered that, I'll move on to the next most frequent error in the essay. Next one, use the tools to aid your preparation. Now, there's 2 resources here. This goes back to what I've been saying consistently for the last couple of months. Using tools rather than information will accelerate your progress. There's 2 tools I'm going to share with you. The first one is FocusMate. Again, well, actually, let me explain it before I go into the again sentence. This is a site, focusmate.com. What you do is you go to the site and you book a session, maybe 9 till 10, and it partners you with somebody else, and you basically start the call like, hi there, Barry, what are you working on today? I'm working on my accounting. Ben, what are you working on? I'm working on my IELTS. I'm going to write 20 introductions in order to master my introduction writing skills. Okay, good luck with that, and I'll see you in 50 minutes. You sign off. You both put yourself on mute. You can see Barry or whoever you're partnered with, you can see them working on their accounting, for example, and they can see you working on your IELTS. So not only do you get a couple of minutes of English speaking for free, but you just seeing the other person working makes you think twice when you're like, I'll just open YouTube Shorts. I'll just jump onto WhatsApp. I'll just jump onto TikTok for a minute because I'm bored. No, you think twice before making those actions. You've got somebody there. You've got some accountability, and it works. It sounds crazy. It sounds freaky. I know. This is what I was going to say. Again, it sounds freaky. It sounds weird. It does, but who cares? If you're going to get a solid 50 minutes of studying, that's gold for self-study students. That's absolute gold. And it's $5 a month. You can do as many study sessions as you want, or I think they've got a free plan which might limit you to 3 or 4 study sessions. Use the free plan, give it a go. If it works for you, $5 a month is pennies. It's literally pennies for what you get in return, in my experience anyway. Practice tests. Obviously, this is an obvious one, but again, any numbskull can do practice tests day and night. The real smart students will be doing practice tests, reverse engineering practice tests, looking at trying different strategies, looking at the answers first and then going in and seeing how the questions are formulated, or just trying the most difficult section first and then moving backwards. There's lots of different strategies out there for doing these practice tests. You need to figure out for you which one works for you, which strategy works best. So test different strategies. The strategies I just shared, reverse engineer the questions if you've got the time. I think the most powerful one though is just figure out your weak spots, work on those weak spots, or the easiest one to get started is working on the weak spots. If you're really struggling, then you can start reverse engineering, looking at the answers, looking at how the questions are formed. There's lots of different strategies available. Mindset, as I said before, reward yourself. What's that phrase? Every pitfall is a windfall. That just means like reframing it. In my case, the car broke down. Right, where's the benefit in this? Well, the benefit is I need to sort out the car battery so it doesn't happen to my wife when she's driving, because she would be incredibly more flustered and nervous if it happens to her. So it's actually beneficial that it happened to me, because now I can get the car in order. So hopefully it never happens to her when she's with the kid on the motorway and there's fast cars driving past. So it was actually a blessing in disguise. Okay, so that's how you make lemonade out of lemons, as the Americans say. Stay motivated. This is what I said before, visualize that future success. Surround yourself by the winners. There's a lovely phrase which also the Americans use, is called pissers and moaners. It's a bit vulgar, I know. However, it's a good description of those Debbie Downers, as we call them in Britain. And finally, celebrate your success. It could be with 200 grams of chocolate like I do before I've even succeeded. Or it can just be, just that self-talk, the positive self-talk. Like, well done, Ben. You absolutely crushed it this afternoon. You get in there. All of these help. I know it's difficult to incorporate them all at once. So let's just go back to what I said at the beginning. Pick one, incorporate it, come back to the tutorial, and find the next one, incorporate it, master it, make it a routine. Come back to the tutorial, pick your third one, and keep moving. That's the system you probably need to adopt in order to incorporate all of these into your own self-study program. So, final words. Hang in there. You are moving forward. Even just listening to this tutorial is a step in the right direction. So well done you. If you are struggling, go to IELTS Podcast, sign up. We do not advertise, by the way. All these tutorials are for free. We do not charge for them, but all I ask is, in return, if you did get some value out of this tutorial, then share it. Please send it to a friend, send it to a tutor. A lot of IELTS tutors need this advice. But if you could, I would be very appreciative. I would really appreciate it if you could share it. And with that, that's it. Go to IELTS Podcast, sign up. You'll get a ton more of resources, material, and most importantly, tools. This is what smart students are using nowadays, tools like our AI essay checker, especially the premium one, which gives you far more detailed feedback. Keep moving forward. You've got this. You can do it. Thank you for listening and have a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.